Today's video, we will be reviewing continued testimony of Trooper Erie Buchanan, and he's the only one on the stand today. To Late Night Review. I don't know if you remember from prior videos, but I had mentioned that John O'Keefe had a Ring camera. A search warrant was written to get a hold of that footage. The little eye raise information we got out of this was Trooper Buchanan said that they had requested the account information, video recordings, and the activity logs, and that the Ring company didn't provide them with not all of the information, just video footage. Actually, we find out through cross-examination from Mr. Jackson is that they actually did receive the account information, the video recordings, and the activity logs from like what videos were deleted and so on and so forth. Mr. Buchanan said he never saw any of that. Michael Proctor was the one who received all this information. Gee, I wonder why. Within this information, we find out that Karen Reed did not have access to the Ring information or the ability to delete any of the information from the Ring camera. According to his report, Officer Buchanan, he called the Good Samaritan Hospital at 10:41 a.m. and told them that John had been struck in the face with a cocktail glass. And he stated this even though he hadn't interviewed any civilian witnesses at this time. He also said that him and another officer were the ones who collected John's clothing from the hospital and that they were soaking wet, and they took a hold of him, put him in evidence bags, put him in the vehicle, and they sat there until the nighttime sometime. So they were eventually taken back to the police station where they were laid out on butcher paper to dry because he said they were soaking wet. For several days they were left there. He was asked about who had access to the clothing at this time, and particularly did Trooper Michael Proctor have access to them, and he said yes, he did. There was an evidence bag that was shown to Mr. Buchanan, and it had information on it. Take a look at it. Okay, so it has the information here and saying that it was Trooper Buchanan who had found these pieces of evidence and filled out this label, but Mr. Buchanan actually confirmed that he did not fill that out, and that was not his handwriting. And actually who did it was Michael Proctor. Now I'm going to show you a video footage from the Ring camera from John's house of Karen backing out of the garage that early morning when she went to go look for John.
The rear area of the trucks. And I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to the back wheel and any movement that you may or may not see. Pause it. Okay, in about the next 3 seconds, Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to the wheel. Go ahead.
Yes.
What did you notice about the rear wheel of the Traverse?
Based on the motion in the shot with the snow falling, it appears that there is movement, but the video speaks for itself.
Putting that aside for a minute, I want to show you some video footage of the Sally Port at the Canton PD, particularly Karen Reed's vehicle that was parked there in their Sally Port.
Who is that just got out of the car?
I do not know. I think that's the tow truck driver. He would have the only access to the vehicle. We did not touch the vehicle.
Who's that on the left?
I missed it. I was looking down at the laser pointer. I do not know.
Now, the thing about that video footage is when I watched it, I thought, why are there two people getting out of the vehicle? Like, if this vehicle was being unloaded from the tow truck and parked into the Sally Port, why did somebody jump out of the passenger side? There was extensive questioning about this video footage in yesterday's trial. It was mainly Mr. Lowley questioning him. He has like very meticulous questions that are very like monotone. So he had questioned him extensively about this footage, Like, here it is, who's in the video, so on and so forth. That's how that ended. And today, now that we had cross-examination from defense, Mr. Jackson, first, he asked foundational questions, asking like, yesterday you watched this video footage on here in court, and you said everything was accurate to the best of your knowledge, or everything was accurate. This was a true and accurate depiction of the video footage from the Sally Port. And he said, yes, that he did say that. And so very intriguing is that footage is actually inverted. What does that mean? That means for some reason that footage is flipped. So as I was wondering why someone had got out of the passenger side of the vehicle, which that video leads you to believe, it actually was the driver's side. The weird thing about this that was pointed out too is like for some reason that video footage was inverted, but it was only the video footage that was inverted. It wasn't the timestamp on the footage itself. That was like, oh my gosh. So we have been watching this video footage from their surveillance from the Sally Port this entire time, and it was presented and led you to believe this was the passenger side of the vehicle, and it wasn't. And so you sit there and you watch it and you're looking to see if anyone's going near this brake light, as defense is, saying that they are the ones who broke this light at some point during their possession of it. And so you're sitting there watching it and you're like, okay, well, I don't really see anyone going near to this light. I mean, there's people looking at it, but Mr. Jackson stated in court, isn't it true that nobody here would have even noticed that this video footage was inverted if he hadn't stood up and asked him questions directly about it? It was like, yes, no one would have noticed, because that is the way the DA presented that information, which is very shady. Can we say we're shocked at this point? No, we're not shocked. But let's keep going, because this gets even worse.
Pause it. Did you see another person just appear toward the rear end of the car?
There was a fog of some sorts. It did appear as if a person was actually in. There was two people back there, and two people walked away, or one person walked away.
The timestamp jumped to 5:38:01. Correct?
I cannot see the timestamp, sir.
Did it appear that there was an anomaly? There was a portion of that video that was deleted, or it's missing, not deleted, but just missing.
Objection.
Can you tell that? Does it appear that way to you, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor, I cannot tell what is happening with the video.
Pause it.
There in the footage, again, we have missing time. It's split seconds of missing time, but it's missing time. Someone appears out of nowhere, so clearly this was either edited or something, because we're missing time here. How did that happen? And the thing about this footage, it was provided to Officer Buchanan from the Canton PD. Whatever they did with their footage before they handed it over, this is the result of what they did and they gave. So this is what's being used in evidence, and now that we know it's been manipulated in some way, you can make your conclusions of what took place there. Mr. Jackson also submitted a thumb drive to be shown in court at that point. Prosecution objected to it, claiming he didn't know what was on it. Mr. Jackson asked if he could show it to the court, and Judge Beverly said no. And actually she ended court for the day there. So maybe we'll get to see what was on that flash drive tomorrow. What do you think about that? Do you think that video footage was edited, or do you think there just happened to be a glitch? I think it was edited, but that's just my review. So with that, thank you for watching. See you back for trial day 22.